I've always been a massive fan of the Mercedes SLK, and this example that we have right here is the perfect spec, the exact spec that I would pick for this. Bahama Blue 1999 5-speed manual. You do have the AMG design package, or some might call the sport package, with the beautiful 17-inch AMG wheels. So what we're going to do in this video is have a look at this design. This one is only done over just over 13,000 miles. It's an absolutely beautiful example. Gonna look at the front end, the side, the rear, the interior, and then we're gonna take this for a drive, and I can't wait to do that. The 1999 Mercedes SLK is powered by a 2.3-liter inline-4. It's supercharged, 197 horsepower, 207 pound-feet of torque. This one comes with the 5-speed manual. Rear-wheel drive, obviously, 0 to 60 takes about 7.2 seconds. Top speed 140 miles per hour. Fuel economy comes in at 19 city, 27 highway. And the price for this is $13,430. Now this is from an era when design was a lot simpler. It has smooth surfaces, clean graphic designs to give the cars an expression. Honestly, I think cars from this era just looked overall more beautiful than what they do today, because we have a clear separation here of the top half of the graphics, and these headlights remind me a lot of the ones that came on the Mercedes CL of the time. I'm not sure if these are the exact same headlights, but they do look very, very similar. I love the blacked out grille with the big Mercedes logo in the middle, and this, as I talked about, this separation here, beautiful Bahama Blue bumper, and then we have the AMG styling all the way down here. Love how it carves into the sides here. And pretty much every single Mercedes from this era with the AMG package, they all had the same type of front bumper, same type of side skirt, and same type of rear diffuser. And the sides also carved out some portions of the rear bumper. And I think that just plants the car properly on the ground and definitely makes this looks a lot more modern, as I said, than if you were to pick one from 1999 without this package. Now, the 1995 SLK came with one of the coolest graphic design features of this Mercedes and also modern Mercedes, and those are these beautiful muscle ridges that we have in the hood, breaking up this otherwise very smooth hood. And I'm super cool to see that Mercedes has kept these design features, these bulges here, in today's cars as well. This was introduced with the first generation Mercedes SL, and that only had one single bulge, and then it evolved into these beautiful two bulges on the hood. And very cool, and it adds some aggressiveness to this otherwise very, very clean design. Now, coming around to the side view of this Mercedes SLK, what I love again about this specific example is the spec. Bahama Blue AMG package. We have the beautiful 17-inch wheels with the typical AMG styling for this era. 5-spoke simplistic design, staggered setup, 225s in the front end, 245s planting the car in the rear. We have this beautiful organic looking side mirror as well, in addition to the AMG styling down here. This is what I'm talking about. Pretty much every single AMG from this era has this exact side skirt that we have right here. You also have the sport badge here. They call it the sport package, or it's also known as the AMG design package, which this obviously has. Now, looking at the overall proportions of this car, it reminds me a lot of maybe there is a little bit of a Lexus SC430 in this car. I'm not sure if you can see it, but with the rounded smoothness that we have in the design, still has the typical Mercedes proportions, of course. So let's fire this up. And let's fold the roof back up, because it looks like it might start raining. I can also show you the operation of the roof. Takes about 25, 28 seconds, something like that. It's not the fastest folding roof, but keep in mind, this was, if not the first metal folding roof in production, it was definitely one of the first, and I think it works perfectly fine today, having to wait a little bit for everything to settle in. And now when we have the roof up, now it turns into a proper sports car with these proportions, because you have the very short rear end, the greenhouse sits almost like this in the middle of the car, and then you have the long hood stretching right in front of you. Overall, these proportions, I think, as I've said with the front end, the car overall is just aged very, very well. And specifically when you have a nice example like this. Now, coming around to the rear end of the 1999 SLK, you have SLK230 Kompressor over there, meaning supercharger. Love the triangular taillights that we have here. This was, I think this was maybe the first Mercedes to really introduce and hammer in this new design language for Mercedes, since this was back in 1995. Then the E-Class, the C-Class, the S-Class, CL, all of them then after that got the same treatment for the design. But as you can see, the AMG design package here, what you get is the body painted, the lower section here, with this beautiful bumper slash sort of diffuser. We have some ridges here. We have a black tip in this case. I do believe this is supposed to be silver or chrome. I would probably want to have it be in chrome because it would connect with the badges that we have up here and the Mercedes logo in the middle. But overall, the stance of this car, I'm going to show you now how well stance this car is, because we do have the staggered setup with the tires. Now this car looks properly planted thanks to these 245mm wide tires. You don't necessarily need wider tires than that, because this, as I said, is a very, very compact and small car. So 245s in the rear definitely plants this properly on the ground. You also have this trunk. I'm going to show you what it looks like when you have the roof folded up like we have now. You have a lot of space under here. You also have a pretty decent amount of space when the roof is folded down. Now, before we check out the trunk space here, I just want to mention this beautiful design feature that is typical for German designs of this era. We do have this very subtle small little upswing here to create a very sharp end point for this design. And this, it might not seem like a lot, but it actually does a lot for the design, because it creates a clearly defined end points and creates some boxiness for the rear end. So with that said, let's open this up. Let me show you the trunk space that we have when we have the roof folded up. So we have plenty of space here. If you want to, you could remove this here and have even more space, and this is for where the roof is going to rest on, but you have plenty of space underneath here. So I'm going to fold this down now, and let me show you what it looks like. Let's pop this open. And there you can see, it's kind of resting on this little thing that I said we can remove if we have the roof folded up. We can still slide in some stuff under there, making it a pretty good GT car, even though we do have the roof folded down. Welcome to the beautiful interior of the Mercedes SLK from 1999. I still think this looks absolutely fantastic. It has a classic layout to it, simple designs. There's nothing in here to distract you like we have in so many modern cars today. Just look at the housing for the gauge cluster here, for example, and how classy the gauges themselves are with the white background and the black numbers on top of it. We do have a big speedometer in the middle, tachometer to the right side, and the temp gauge and the fuel gauge on the left side in this beautiful housing. Moving further along, and we do have the cup holders right here. So you just pop that out, and that is how you get the cup holders. I like this integration because it has a clear, nice, smooth integration with the rest of the dash here. It feels like it has a nice flow to it. We also have a pretty large glove box for the SLK. Now this is absolutely stunning. I love how everything is laid out here. Squared off vents, both for the passenger and the driver here, and also in the middle. Simple design, very easy to figure out, and look at how classy these dials look like here. It has the same sort of styling like we have in the gauge cluster coming back for the the fan speed and where you want the air to blow out from. Here you do have the controls for the temp right here for the AC as well. This one has an aftermarket audio system in it. Further down, we do have the washer for the headlights. You do have the hazards, lock button, and the tow mode. Further down, we do have some storage here. And if we pop this out, you can store some coins in this little section right there. Now this is the manual transmission, and most of these cars that came to the US were automatic. So thankfully we do have the 5-speed manual here. It's not the best feel for a manual transmission I've ever felt. We're gonna feel more how it feels like when we take this out for a drive. And this is 1999. We do have the 5-speed. In 2000 it came out with a 6-speed manual for this car. You have the window controls here on the sides, and the controls for the mirrors adjustments is located right here in the middle. And you also have this button for closing up the roof. And I think I'm going to close it up because it's getting pretty hot in here. And we're also going to take it for a drive soon, just going to improve the audio a little bit. You have a classic e-brake right here, typical old e-brake. You have some more storage right here in the middle as well with this little slider. And last but not least, for storage space, you have pretty decent amount of storage underneath this center armrest and a pouch, a leather pouch here in the back to store even more stuff. Now looking at the seats here, two-tone seats, sporty looking design. You have proper bolstering on each sides. Not the sportiest seats I've ever seen, but they're definitely gonna hold you in place in this specific car. Now moving on to the steering wheel, we have the same type of design like we have on the seat. So we have two-tone steering wheel here, and the horn sounds very powerful. Listen to this. Sounds very good. You have the big Mercedes logo in the middle, typical design for Mercedes of this era. And you have the indicator and washer stock right here on the left side, in addition to the controls for the headlights, and they sound very good. This toggle just feels proper in my opinion. Very nicely done. The door is very simplistic design for the doors. Door handle here, same type of texture like we have here in the middle, and some speaker integration here, and another leather pouch down here at the bottom. And I think that's it for this interior. There's really not a lot to talk about, and that's one thing I love about cars from this era, just how simplistic they are. So with that said, let's take this out on the road and let's see how this one drives. All right, I think this is the first time I'm ever driving this generation of the Mercedes SLK. So it's gonna be interesting to see, because it shares 80% of its components with the Chrysler Crossfire. Can you believe that? I can't, because this feels like a completely different car from the Crossfire, at least from the exterior and the interior design. I mean, they're completely different cars, so I guess all that's shared is underneath. So we do have an inline-4 supercharged engine, 197 horsepower, around 207 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 in about 7.2 seconds. So it's not the quickest car by today's standards, but it's still fun car to drive. I mean, cars from this era is not about the speed, because now we have EVs doing 0 to 60 in 2 seconds you can buy for $40,000, and that's not what it's about. It's about the feel and the overall vibe that you get from cars. So let's floor it here. And we're up to 50 right there. Not bad. It's a fun car to just roll through the gears. The gearbox is not the tightest gearbox I've ever felt. It feels a little wobbly, but I guess that's what Mercedes manual gearboxes were like at the time. It's still a lot more fun than having this be in automatic for sure. And the top speed of this is about 140 miles per hour. Do have some creaks from the I think it's from the trunk or something. A little bit of some rattles going on there, but nothing too crazy. I mean, keep in mind, this is from 1999. This car has been around for a long time. When this first came out, it was so different from anything Mercedes had done in the past when it comes to the design. It had this more modern, more fluid looking design, which I was a huge fan of. I remember the press photos for this car, and I thought it looked so cool. They had this X-ray view of the car as a press photo, and you can see everything that went on underneath the car. And I thought this was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, the retractable hardtop that we have in this one. But the formula is still there. We have rear-wheel drive, around 200 horsepower, and we have a manual transmission. I mean, you can't really ask for more than that when you want to have a fun, cheap car like this is. So let's check the turning radius of this 1999 SLK. And as expected, it just turns on a dime. This wheelbase, it's not the longest wheelbase, and it's a small car, so turning radius is no problems at all. How do I fit in here? Me being 6'1", 6'2", I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm 6'1" or 6'2". I know I'm 189 centimeters tall. I don't know what that is in American feet and inches, but I fit pretty fine in here. I don't have the seat all the way back, because if I do that, if I have it all the way back there, the leather is gonna start squeaking and have some pressure towards the back here. So I have it in the almost all the way back, and yeah, it's a little bit tight in here, but my knees, my legs still have space to move around. It's not too bad. Overall, the SLK, the first generation SLK, what I think about this car is, first of all, I do think the design is aging very well. I think still today is a very beautiful looking car, specifically when you go with the AMG package with the Bahama blue exterior design and the 17-inch AMG wheels. That is all good. When it comes to the driving experience, it feels more, it doesn't really have that sports car feel to it. It feels more like a maybe a Sunday cruiser, like a small version of an SL. If you want to have a lighter SL with a manual transmission, this would probably be the car to go with. If I were to pick a sportier car in this segment, I would probably go for the BMW Z3. Even though this, I still think this maybe looks a little bit better than the BMW, but when it comes to the driving, I think I prefer the BMW over this. You just gotta rev it if you wanna, you know, rip it. Big thanks again to European Auto House for providing this SLK for me to film for you guys today. If you're interested in this car, it's for sale right here. I'm gonna link it down below, or you can go to europeanautohouse.co.com to check out their full inventory of pretty sweet European cars. A lot of them from this golden era. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.